Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
හිසකෙස් ඇතුළතින්ම පෝෂණය කර damaged හිසකෙස් repair කරයි. Dove Intense Repair.
On 1st at 9 this Tuesday, the 8th of November 2022. Climate action. President Ranil Wickremesinghe proposes the establishment of a university on international climate change in Sri Lanka to counter obstacles in implementing climate action plans.
The collaboration of multilateral institutions and organizations such as the Commonwealth, World Bank and the ADB, amongst others, will be sought for the establishment of the institute.
Appreciation. Sagar Ratnayaka says the World Bank Country Director for Sri Lanka, Faris Hadadzervos, was impressed by the vision and action plan presented by President for Sri Lanka during a recent meeting.
This is his vision for the country. Some of the things he wants to do are beyond what we are talking about here, what the IMF is talking about, what the World Bank is talking about. He's actually far ahead.
To the rescue. Vietnamese officials rescue over 300 Sri Lankans who had drifted off near the South China Sea today. Search for the truth. A 3-member investigation panel appointed to probe Danushka Gunatilaka's case.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. I'm Andrew Bernard. Now in a top story for tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe proposed the establishment of a university on international climate change in Sri Lanka with an ancillary institute in the Maldives to counter obstacles in implementing plans pertaining to climate change action. Addressing the United Nations Climate Change Conference today, President Wickremesinghe said the support from multilateral institutions and organizations, including the Commonwealth, World Bank and the Asian Development Bank, will be sought for the establishment of the university. Speaking further, the head of state also called on developed nations to deliver their pledges on climate change financing as developing countries are facing the effects of climate change due to industrialization in the developed nations.
The high-level event on global climate action of the COP27, or the United Nations Climate Change Conference, was held in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt today. Addressing the event, which was attended by the heads of state across the world, President Ranil Wickremesinghe called on the developing nations to deliver on their pledges on climate financing, which is essential to developing countries to tackle climate change.
Yet for climate action to be successful, wide-ranging measures to complement the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement must be pursued. The lack of capacity is the biggest obstacle to the implementation of climate action plans. Therefore, capacity building is vital in this regard. To overcome this obstacle, we propose to establish an international climate change university in Sri Lanka with an ancillary institute in Maldives that will be the first of its type. This seat of learning can be a transdisciplinary global center for green and blue studies for scientists, environmentalists, researchers, policymakers, development practitioners, and of course, students the world over to interchange knowledge transcending national and disciplinary boundaries. The envisaged Climate Change University will offer both short-term courses and postgraduate academic awards to build capabilities on the mitigating and adapting to climate change. The university will also expedite the skills of the new generations to deliver the political, economic, social, cultural and digital transformation required to prevent a 1.5 centigrade world. It would be the vehicle to enlighten climate change challenges and prospects domestically. The collaboration of multilateral institutions and organizations such as the Commonwealth, World Bank and the ADB, amongst others, will be sought for the establishment of the Institute of Higher Learning, making it a multi-stakeholder partnership transcending national boundaries. It's my hope that Sri Lanka's proposal will receive extensive support and endorsement from the international community. Regrettably, The ground reality is that the fossil fuel-based industrialized countries of G7 and G20, who have been the main promoters of green hydrogen, are now backtracking to use fossil fuel. In the last year, carbon dioxide emissions increased by 2 billion metric tons. Such double standards are unacceptable. Developed nations should be giving leadership to overcome climate challenges rather than abdicating their responsibilities. It is no secret that climate financing has missed the target. It's ironic that the $100 billion pledged annually have not been available in the coffers to finance climate challenges. These countries, who are also on both sides of the Ukraine war, seem to have no qualms spending for a war which will finally exceed $350 billion, a conflict waged purportedly for security interests of the combatants. The only security at stake is food insecurity, exacerbated to levels not experienced before the war. Expectedly, it has led to the curtailing of much required climate financing pledged by these very same countries. Why do we need this funding? It is known fact that the practice of colonialism transferred the rich resources of Asia and Africa to Europe and were used to industrialize their countries. We became poor from this plunder. This unbridled industrialization of the developed economies is also the root cause of climate change, the consequence of which we, the poor countries, are forced to suffer. Our problems are augmented due to the absence of adequate funding. Therefore, those in South are facing a double jeopardy, struggling to develop economically while fighting to protect the living standards of our population. It is therefore imperative that the developed countries deliver on their pledges in Glasgow by doubling their funding.
Now, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, informed President Ranil Wickremesinghe that they would pay close attention to the situation in Sri Lanka and hope to assist the country in economic recovery. This was stated during a meeting held between the two parties on the sidelines of COP27. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for a meeting of South Asian nations to discuss losses and damages caused by the melting of the glaciers in the Himalayas. On the sidelines of COP27, President Ranil Wickremesinghe attended a breakfast meeting hosted by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo. During the meeting, President Wickremesinghe called for a meeting of South Asian nations to discuss losses and damages caused by the melting of glaciers in the Himalayas. Meanwhile, the head of state also met with Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. The WTO Director General has informed the President that they would pay close attention to the situation in Sri Lanka and hope to assist the country in its economic recovery. In the meantime, President Ranil Wickremesinghe and his senior advisor on climate change, Ruwan Wijewardena, met with Rwandan President Paul Kagame on the sidelines of COP27. Now, Chief of Staff of President Sagala Ratnayaka says the World Bank Country Director for Sri Lanka was impressed with the action policy and the vision of President Ranil Wickremesinghe, which was revealed during their recent encounter. He made these remarks while speaking at the World Bank Budget Support and Development Policy Operation Preparatory Mission Kickoff meeting between the government and members of the World Bank this morning.
The World Bank Budget Support and Development Policy Operation Preparatory Mission kick-off meeting between the officials of the government and the members of the World Bank was held at the Presidential Secretariat this morning.
President's point, you will understand, I'm sure, how committed the government is to ensure stabilization of the economy and to ensure that we will not face such challenging situation what we are facing right now. So the only assurance we can give, Excellency, the President will give the leadership. The government is committed. You all know, if you see, your prior actions are mostly in line with the IMF prior actions also. As a government, as the President, we have taken very difficult decisions to revive the economy. They are not the most popular decisions any government would like to, but we have faced that task, and we will ensure that once again Sri Lanka will not fall back in any of the situations. Once again, we thank the World Bank for all the emergency assistance you have given us at the most difficult times, and the technical assistance you will give us, and also the financial assistance you will give us. And if you come across any difficulty or any clarifications, I think we all are here to assist and make sure that Sri Lanka becomes a better economy.
Mr. Faris Hadadza was the country director. You were there when he met the president. I just want officials to know this. When he met the president, he asked the president, Mr. President, what is your plan for the country? And the president laid it out. What Mr. Faris said at the end of it is, this is an amazing, amazing vision and a policy that you have and an action plan. What we need to do is to be able to implement this. We need to put the teams in place and get the teams equipped with the roadmaps. I think what the ADB and the IMF are trying to do is the president's vision, and you're supporting us with it. It seems to the people of Sri Lanka and to some of the officials, it may seem that we have been pushed against the wall because we are in economic crisis and therefore we are doing it. But this is not the case. This is his vision for the country. He in fact has some of the things he wants to do are beyond what we are talking about here, what the IMF is talking about, what the World Bank is talking about. He's actually far ahead in sphere. So I think it's important that we all come together and work hard on this, work hard on developing the roadmap, then staying on time, on the timelines. But like Dr. Samarathunga and ST said at the beginning, this is not the final product. At the end of the 2 weeks, we will come up with the final product. And as we go along, we will probably speed things up where we can and try not to fall behind as much as possible on others and move on. So let's all put our heads together and get working on this. My request, because I feel this is the opportunity for the country to stabilize economically, to have a solid framework, a policy framework, and to go into growth that we need. And we, as a country, we have that potential to make maximum use of that potential.
Now, Minister of Justice Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa requested Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Abeyewardena to expedite the formation of the Constitutional Council as per the 21st Amendment. Speaking in Parliament today, Dr. Rajapaksa also said they expect to expedite and conclude documentation on missing persons, which is conducted by the Office of Missing Persons within a short period of time.
මා ඉල්ලා සිටින ඔබතුමාගෙන් ව්‍යවස්ථාදායක සභාව පිහිටවීමේ කටයුතු හැකිතාක් ඉක්මනට සිදු කරන්නත් ඒ සඳහා පක්ෂ නායකවරුන්ගේ සහභාගීත්වය දායකත්වය ලබා දෙනු ඇති කියලත් මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒකම එම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනය යටතේ පිහිටවීමට නියමිත සහ දැනට පිහිටුවා ඇති ස්වාධීන කොමිෂන් සභාවලට කොමසාරිස්වරුන් සහ සභාපතිවරුන් පත් කිරීමේ ක්‍රියාදාමය හැකිතාක් ඉක්මනට ගන්නා ලෙසට ගරු කතානායකතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටින අතර සියලු පක්ෂ නායකයන්ගේ සහයෝගය මේ අවස්ථාවේදී බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. පසුගිය ඔක්තෝබර් 31 නොවැම්බර් 1 වෙනිදා දින දෙකේදී අපි උතුරු පළාතේ යාපනය සහ කිලිනොච්චිය මුල් කරගෙන ජංගම සේවාවන් දෙකක් පැවැත්තුවා. මීට පෙර අලි සබ්රිගරු ඇමතිතුමා ජනවාරි මාසෙත් ගිය ජූලි මාසයේ දෙවනි ජංගම සේවයත් ඔක්තෝබර් නොවැම්බර් 3 වෙනි ජංගම සේවයත් අපි පැවැත්වුවේ උතුරු පළාතේ ජනතාව මුහුණ දීලා තිබෙන විශාල ගැටලු රාශියකට පිළිතුරු හොයන්න. උතුරු පළාතේ ඉන්නවා ගැටුම්කාරී වාතාවරණයක් අපේ රටේ තිබුණ කාලේ ඉන්දියාවට ගොස් නැවත පැමිණිච්ච උදවිය 11782ක්. ඒ උදවිය අපි ගිය වතාවේ ගිය පෙළාවේ හඳුනාගත්ත ප්‍රශ්න රාශියක් තිබුණා. බොහෝ අයට උපැන්න සහතික නැහැ. බොහෝ අයට ජාතික හැඳුනුම්පතක් නැහැ. විදේශ ගමන් බලපත්‍රයක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට ගන්න බෑ. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉන්දියාවේදී ලබාගෙන තිබෙන අධ්‍යාපන සුදුසුකම් සහතික අපේ රටේ පිළිගන්නේ නැහැ. මේ වෙනුවෙන් අපි මාස ගණනාවක් එක දිගට කරුණු සොයලා බලලා අපේ අමාත්‍යංශ ලේකම්තුමියගේ සභාපතිත්වයෙන් දිසාපතිවරු සම්බන්ධ කරලා දීර්ඝ වශයෙන් අධ්‍යයනය කරලා මේවට පිළිතුරු දෙන්න මේවට විසඳුම් දෙන්න අමාත්‍යංශ 12ක් සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන තමයි අපි මේ කටයුත්ත කරේ. පහුගිය වසර 4ක කාලය පුරාවට අතුරුදහන් වූවන්ගේ කාර්යාලය අවසන් කරලා තිබුණේ ලිපිගොනු 65ක් පමණයි. නමුත් අපි බාරගත්තට පස්සේ පහුගිය මාස කිහිපය තුළ ඒ සංඛ්‍යාව 2000 දක්වා වැඩි කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව ඒ බින්දිතයන්ට ගෙවන මූල්‍ය වන්දිය රුපියල් ලක්ෂ රුපියල් ලක්ෂ 2 දක්වා වැඩි කරගන්නත් අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයේ අනුමැතිය ගිය මාසෙදී අපි ලබා ගත්තා. ඒ අනුව මේ කටයුතු වේගයෙන් ශීඝ්‍ර ලෙස කරලා අවසන් කරන්න අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඉතා කෙටි කාලයක් තුළ.
There are about 33,000 more who are willing to come, but because of the situation here and various facilities not being afforded, they are stuck there. We would like them to come, and just as much as you have done all this, we wish that you take further steps to bring them and settle them back. The current chairman of OMP has made a statement saying that nobody has actually disappeared in this country. The OMP is set up to inquire into the disappearances. Without any inquiry being done, he made a public statement that they are living abroad, nobody has gone missing, and so on. Mr. Katulanda, we expect that institution to function independently, conduct investigations with regard to disappearances. If the chairman himself makes a statement like that without any basis, naturally the victims lose confidence. So I wish that the minister take steps to counter these as well and to genuinely make inquiries about the disappeared.
If there is any such statement, of course I was not aware, I regret about it. Definitely that if there is such statement made by him, I will take steps to rectify it.
Now stay with us as we bring you more information on the 303 Sri Lankans rescued by Vietnam in the South China Sea earlier today.
Big 3.
අයිනෝ පුතා හැබැයි යා ගෙදර නිදියන්නෙම අමුතු තැනක.
කාලගුණය කොහොමුණත් රයිනෝ නං වහලට සේෆ් තමයි මුළු ගෙදරම. Rhino Cement Roofing Sheets. Then you know Rhino. I know.
Welcome back. Now over 300 Sri Lankans were rescued by Vietnam Maritime Search and Rescue Coordination Centre today after their fishing vessel was found in distress near Spratly Islands in South China Sea. Given the situation, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri said that they are currently in conversation with the Vietnamese authorities on repatriating the rescued Sri Lankans. Foreign media reported that the Vietnamese authorities were able to save 303 Sri Lankans who were in distress near the Spratly Islands in the Southern Sea after their fishing vessel had sustained damages and was found adrift. A spokesperson for the Vietnam Maritime Search and Rescue Coordination Centre said the rescue operation was initiated after the Vietnam Maritime Search and Rescue Coordination Centre received news that Myanmar-flagged Lady R3 with 303 Sri Lankans who was suspected to be headed to Canada was in distress. According to reports on the 5th of November, when the vessel was around 258 nautical miles off Vung Tau in the southern coast, its engine room flooded and the vessel began to drift. There were rough seas at the time. The centre has then tried to contact the vessel and also broadcast emergency signals to other ships in the vicinity. On Monday afternoon, the centre found that the Japanese-flagged Helios leader was in the area and requested it to make a detour and rescue the people aboard Lady R3. The Japanese vessel was able to reach the distressed boat, whose crew members were in a state of panic. It then rescued the passengers and provided medical assistance to those who required it. The centre also mobilized 5 other ships and told them to circle the area to provide support if needed. The 264 men, 19 women and 20 children are safe and are expected to reach Vung Tau today. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Ali Sabri stated that the diplomatic communications have been initiated with the Vietnamese authorities to repatriate the rescued Sri Lankans. Now, South Korea is investing $1.2 million via the UN Food Agriculture Organization to strengthen shrimp aquaculture in the country. According to the FAO, this project will be implemented over a 3-year period to ensure effective biodiversity in shrimp aquaculture through digital technology. South Korea, through the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, is investing $1.2 million to strengthen shrimp aquaculture in Sri Lanka. The investment is part of a global project implemented by the FAO in Sri Lanka with a total investment of $3.9 million. In a statement, the FAO said the project will be implemented over a 3-year period to ensure effective biosecurity in shrimp aquaculture through digital technology. It also said that through the project, the FAO will build national capacity on various aspects of health management, biosecurity, food safety, analysis of biosecurity systems, and establish robust disease early warning and monitoring systems that will support the sustainable development of shrimp aquaculture sector. The FAO added that improving the biosecurity of the aquaculture sector will enable countries to grow more food effectively, efficiently, increase incomes, improve resilience, and reduce vulnerability to the impacts of higher food prices and other threats to national food security. Speaking at the inception of the project, a South Korean ambassador to Sri Lanka, Santush Woonjinjeong, said the project is a great collaboration of the resources of Sri Lanka and Korea will help realize the potential of Sri Lanka. The FAO representative for Sri Lanka, Vimlendran Sharan, says that this will work closely with the Ministry of Fisheries and all stakeholders to introduce a sustainable new approaches to strengthen the aquaculture sector in Sri Lanka. New business news and updates from the stock market. Sri Lankan shares slid to their worst session in nearly a month, hurt by losses in industrial and energy stocks. The CSE All Share Price Index closed 2.64% lower at 8,267.77. The index had registered a loss of 2.7% for the previous week. Conglomerate Expo Lanka Holdings PLC and energy firm Lanka IOC PLC were the biggest drags today, falling 7.7% and 7.1% respectively. Trading volume on the CSE All Share Index rose to 46.5 million shares from 28.2 million in the previous session. The market turnover was 1.12 billion Sri Lankan rupees or $3.7 million. Foreign investors meanwhile were net buyers in the equity market, purchasing 91 million rupees of shares, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading stocks worth 1.12 billion rupees. Welcome back. Now, Sri Lanka Cricket has appointed a 3-member investigation panel to probe the alleged incident involving top-order batter Danushka Gunatilaka. The committee consists of retired High Court Judge Justice Sisira Ratnaik and attorneys-at-law Niroshana Pereira, Nasera Rekava. According to a statement issued by the Sri Lanka Cricket, the committee will also focus the inquiry on various alleged incidents that have come to the attention of Sri Lanka Cricket that are said to have allegedly taken place during the national team's stay in Australia. The panel is in the process and will call for an immediate explanation from the team manager pertaining to his conduct with references to the occurrence of such incidents. Upon submission of the said report by the panel, the Executive Committee of Sri Lanka Cricket will take stern disciplinary action against the players and law officials if proved any wrongdoing or negligence when carrying out official duties. Today, the head coach of Sri Lanka cricket team, Chris Silverwood, has recorded a statement with the committee. Meanwhile, captain of the men's nationals cricket team, Dasun Shanaka, also appeared before the panel to provide a statement. And this concludes tonight's edition of First at 9. Join us again tomorrow at the same time tomorrow. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.